Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Virgo energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I'll refer to as High Vibe Virgo energy. Whoa! The bottom row as... I gotta move the camera. One flew off the table. High Vibe... The top row is High Vibe Virgo energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy. We've all got our dualistic nature. We all have hope and fears and things we got to deal with within ourselves and debate within ourselves when we're going to make a decision in life. Some people right now are debating within themselves. Some people could be stuck between what they want to do, but other people, have lived life a certain way, felt about life a certain way, had certain friendships, relationships, jobs, and, periodically in our life, we don't want to keep living life the way we've been living it or even feeling the way we feel within ourselves. And if we do the work to free ourselves from those things that manipulate us, then the truth sets us free and we move forward in life differently. And other people aren't ready to move forward in life differently. They're not having a problem with the way they're living their life. We all move forward at different times in life and are bothered by different things at different times in life. So we're going to kind of talk about that during the reading. A little kind of flippy energy going on in Virgo energy today. Also, a lot of cards not showing themselves. When the cards aren't showing themselves, it can be that people are trying to hide things. People aren't seeing things about other people. People are trying to prevent people from seeing things about them. We'll talk about that too. Anyway, we all tap into Virgo energy. It has to kind of do with what our truth is. And are we more driven and motivated by ourselves, by the world? Have we learned some lessons in life to get out of our more immature, petty, prideful, egotistical, self-centered, lazy, materialistic, self-indulgent nature? Some people have learned more of those lessons than some other people. We kind of like to hang out with people who've kind of learned some of the same lessons we have. If some people are more about themselves, they're trying to hide the truth from people that they are more about themselves or driven and motivated to get in relationships for reasons other than love. And they try to hide that from people. And have we learned to listen to the gift of our intuition, which was given to us to help us navigate in this world? So listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story. Listen to your intuition about other people. At the end, we're going to ask what might be a potential something coming up that people might not see coming, depending if they harness a more high vibrational Virgo energy or a more shadowy Virgo energy. Okay, the reason for the bottom row's reading is the Justice card. And we have the Death card. Some people aren't willing to be just and fair. Some people don't want to be just and fair. They're going to keep living their life the way they live it. Other people are going to move on. Scorpio and Libra energy. Other people have, the Death card can just represent there's things in life that we needed to learn. And we're kind of in non-life-giving energy. That can be the first. We can be a loving person, but we maybe haven't gotten balanced within ourselves. We're kind of more motivated still by ourselves and the world and these things. And we haven't put an end to our more worldly view of life and what we think is just and fair to be aligned with higher truth and justice in our life. And for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we're pretty focused on the world and getting those things that we want in the world. And sometimes a higher truth and justice isn't the driving factor in our life. And as we keep making our life about those things, and we can keep thinking we can control things, that we're the boss, maybe being in more codependent relationships, haven't really learned to love ourselves. Again, you can be a very loving, nurturing, supportive person to other people, but have you really learned to love yourself? To be more balanced within yourself? The bottom row can be that we're in more codependent energy. I look outside of myself for the answer. That could mean I could look to drugs or alcohol or booze, relationships. That's where I will get justice. But true justice starts within ourselves. And when we do that, then the death card talks about we've transformed our whole life. Because we did kind of look outside of ourselves for things outside of us to be the answer to our problems. And it didn't work out the way we wanted. We didn't get the justice we wanted because we kind of were looking at things from a more worldly, codependent perspective. And when we put an end to that, and we realize that it starts within me, and I need to transform what I view as just and fair, and stop looking outside of myself and look inside of myself, love myself, get balanced within myself, stand up for what I believe in. And I've kind of learned all those lessons. That's when we put an end to being aligned with our more worldly nature, and we'll quit kind of being in maybe friendships, relationships, and workplaces with people who we think are still more driven and motivated by more maybe codependent relationships, or more worldly focused, more self-focused. High vibe people that were living their life a certain way, the Four of Wands, the Queen of Wands, and the Magician in reverse. The Four of Wands could mean that we weren't harnessing a more high vibrational fire sign energy, because again, the first 3-4 decades of our life, we can really be motivated and inspired more by these things of the world and wanting to come together with others in joy and celebration, because we're sure that's what's going to make us happy, and we're more driven in the Queen of Wands. I view that as Leo energy in our ego. And in the Magician card, which is Gemini Virgo energy, maybe not, we've got these lessons to learn. We maybe don't have the resources to manifest our dreams into reality because we do have all these lessons to learn and we're still learning them. But as we keep going through each experience that we go through and learning these lessons, and the death card can talk about closing out one way of viewing life, one way of perceiving ourselves in the world around us, just like we did at age 15, age 18, age 21, age 25. As we keep learning these lessons in life, in the death card, we close out one phase of life, and it's like we go on this new journey to learn lessons in life. And when we realize that, because we're constantly looping from realizing something needs to change, to facing our fears, to living life differently, then we're kind of fearful of detaching from that phase of life to go to the next phase of life. But there's kind of like nothing new to learn there. But yet, we're living our life that way. There's a lot of things we like about it. Friendships, relationships, But we kind of realize that what we're trying to manifest, it's kind of like there's nothing new there to manifest, because we've kind of reached the end of that phase, and then we listen to our intuition that it's just and fair to close out that phase of life, and it's time to face my fears. Up here we have the Six of Wands, Leo energy of being bold and brave and confident. This is Aries energy, 2 fire sign energies. In myself, I have to believe in myself and love myself and face my fears. A phase of life I was in it's not working, or I've learned everything I needed to learn from there. It's time to move forward. I have hope and faith and belief in my dreams. This is the Star card and the Fool card. I go on this new journey. And in the 10 of Cups, I face my fears that one phase of life and way of living life has completed, and now it is just and fair for me to move forward to take what I've learned from this phase of life, the lessons that I've learned about myself, about other people. We come in contact with all these different people to help us get clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And, everybody's on these different places in life, and what drives and motivates them, and what they think is just and fair, and if they want to act with character and integrity or not. Are they more motivated and inspired by themselves or by the world? Are they more about, have they tempered their ego and their fear and their lust and their greed? And if we're kind of ready to move forward in life differently and learn some lessons in life, and maybe some other people in our life aren't ready to move forward in life differently, with a lot of people, we can be okay with that. It's like, okay, we're all at different places. I've not been ready to move forward. Everything's fine in my life when some other people are kind of motivated and inspired to move forward in life and look at life differently, and I wasn't. So vice versa with other people. With a lot of people, we're like, hey, that's fine, been there, done that. I'm not ready to do that. You're ready to do that. I don't look at life that way yet. You do look at life that way. And we're okay with it. The only problem is, it's more of a problem if it's like a really close friend, a family member, a romantic interest. Like if we were to have children and they're adult children, we want our adult children, we'd like them to be moving forward with us in a just and fair way, and be inspired to love and believe in themselves, but they've got their own lessons to learn, and they might not have hope and faith and belief in themselves, or haven't learned to love themselves. We can't make other people do that. So sometimes while we let some people live their life needless the way they want to live it, we continue to go on our journey, and we can wish other people peace and love and joy. If it's a romantic relationship, that can really be more of a problem, because we really want them to move forward with us. And if they are not willing to move forward with us in a way that we would like them to move forward with us, that can be really difficult. You could know some people that don't like change, is what the Death card can be. I don't want to be more authentically myself in the world. I don't want or don't look at life from a higher perspective. I think life is about me, or these things of the world is the most important thing. I don't think there is any higher truth or justice to aspire to. I don't want to step outside of societal norms to bring needed change to the world. I don't want to take a leap of faith and be more... I just want to do life the way I've lived it, because that could be what makes them feel. The Justice card, Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice, that could be what living their life a certain way, viewing life a certain way, is what makes them maybe feel kind of stable within themselves. If anybody at any time in our life tried to push us to go live our life differently when we weren't ready to do that, it can crumble the foundation that we've built for ourselves, because it's just like somebody trying to make you take a job with a lot more responsibility and everything than you're capable of. And then that can really wear on your self-esteem, and it could crumble down the whole foundation. So that's why certain people, and we all kind of move forward, and we all have to listen to our own intuition about what we're comfortable with, and to move forward in life differently when we are ready to move forward in life differently. The truth is, there are some people that are never going to move forward in life differently. There could be some people that emotionally, because the death card is Scorpio energy, which is fixed sign energy, there can be a way of living life that people enjoy or love or makes them just feel safe and secure. Regardless of if they love it or not, I'm staying right here. It's our Pisces energy, which is kind of the opposite complement sign to Virgo. Both Virgo and Pisces are mutable signs. They're the emotional water sign and the earth sign energy that we tap into when we're kind of ready to transition out of something. But to really authentically move forward differently, everybody can go get new jobs, new friends, new relationships. Some people are just repeating an old pattern because emotionally they have a way of viewing life that they think is just and fair, a way of viewing other people, a way of viewing relationships, and they can go get in new friendships, jobs, relationships, but they are living life the way they've lived it. You know, they're the same person in the next job or friendship that they were in the last job and friendship. They might try to create the illusion that they've changed, healed, grown, matured in some way, but they haven't, because Virgo is the aspect of ourself and Pisces that helps us look at the things we weren't seeing and to learn the lesson we were meant to learn from it, so we don't keep repeating that same pattern. I have healed, grown, or matured. I have seen what things I needed to detach from to be more balanced and just and fair in relationships. And some people, though, they don't want to be more balanced and they don't want to be more just and fair. So they might create the illusion they've moved on. They get new jobs, they get new friendships, but they didn't incorporate any of the lessons that they learned from the past life experience into how they're making decisions moving forward. Virgo is about incorporating those lessons into our philosophy of life. But some people's philosophy of life, and in their Virgo nature, I have this way of viewing life. This is how I'm going to keep viewing life. This is how I'm going to keep moving forward. These are the things I'm going to keep investing my time, energy, and effort into, and thinking this way and viewing life this way. Some of those people might go through a lot of things not working out the way they want. But if the truth sets us free, and if they're not willing to deal with the truth of it, you know, most people, when something they thought was going to be victorious and a dream come true, and they were going to go on this new journey and they were going to be happy long term, and it didn't work out that way, a lot of people look at, why didn't that work out the way I wanted? And they look at the Four of Wands as Aries energy about the self. They look at themselves. In the Queen of Wands, was I operating from my shadow nature? Was I being manipulative, prideful, codependent, immature, blah, blah, blah? You know, are there some lessons I need to learn that I wasn't realizing? Some maybe being more balanced, being more authentic and warm and loving, being more bold and brave and confident, believing in myself, loving in myself. You know, other people do this work within themselves to learn how they contributed to something not working out. And then they also are willing to look at the other people in their life. You know, well, I could have done this and I could have done that, and I've learned that, and the only person I can change is me. So the death card is about transformation. The only person I can change is me. So I do have these goals. I do want to be more in high vibe Leo energy, more authentically myself in the world, love myself, work through my fears, my insecurities, if I've got to learn to temper my more immature or codependent nature, whatever it is, I am inspired to do that because I don't want to keep driving my own life off into the ditch. I don't want to keep sabotaging jobs and friendships and relationships. Whatever there is within me that I need to work on, I want to work on that. And it does require having hope and faith and belief in myself. And Aquarius energy is having hope and faith and belief in your dreams, believing you can heal, putting things in perspective, looking at life from the bigger picture, you know, being able to put your past pain and heartbreak and your fears and your insecurities in perspective and why you have them and working through them and past pain and heartbreak, you know, so that you can work through all those things to at least release the aspects of it that you're aware of, how it affects you, to make peace with it so you can let it go. Emotionally detach from it is what the Death card can talk about. I am motivated and inspired to emotionally detach from things in my foundation that manipulate me, things maybe from my past in my foundation of self that I am kind of carrying with me because of other previous life experiences with other people and how that still manipulates me. I don't want it to manipulate me. I don't want to keep moving forward with those things affecting me because it doesn't work out the way I want. So I need to work through it. I need to put things in perspective. I need to... High vibe Leo, I view as, and of course the Ten of Cups is Pisces energy, is offering love and compassion and forgiveness to it so you can be free of it. To the degree, anyway, that you need to go on the next journey of life. I am going to go get another job. I am going to go find a new friend. I'm maybe going to quit some of the things I've been doing in my life. And it's time to move forward in life differently because a way of living life at one time could have been great, just like being 15 years old was great. But then there comes a time where it is more of our fear and our insecurity that keeps us living like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, or 17-year-old instead of being more bold and brave and confident to believe we can act more like an 18 to a 21-year-old. You know, and I think we go through that phase of life throughout our life, having to do this, where we have to shed, kind of like the nesting dolls, throughout our life to grow to our full potential. We're meant to work through these issues within ourselves, learn lessons in life, shed an old way of being to give birth to the new way of being, but based on truth and authenticity. We really are that new person. We really did detach from this old way of being. I'm not acting like a 15-year-old now. I've put away my more childish ways of being, and I'm being more like an 18-year-old. And then we learn lessons at age 18. And then as we get closer to 21, and we could have some fear of change because I feel comfortable here. I like to stay in my comfort zone. You know, I have the people in my life and living my life. I don't really want to go to that next phase of life. But, you know, other people move on. We're maybe staying kind of stuck. We've got to deal with our own fears and insecurities. And then we do that work within ourselves. Why don't I believe I can be more like an 18 to 21-year-old? And we start to do the stuff so that we can move forward in that way. And then we gave up that old way of being and we move forward in that new way. The problem is there's some people in the world who keep trying to create the illusion that they've detached from some old ways of being, but they haven't. And again, some shadowy Scorpio can be that some people are just more fearful and afraid of change. And they'll maybe always be more fearful and afraid of change than some other people might be fearful and afraid of change. Other people might be more... High vibe Scorpio is about willing to explore the mysteries of life. Some people are like, nope, I do not want to explore the mysteries of life. I want to stay in my comfort zone. Well, other people do want to explore the mysteries of life. And emotionally, we're emotionally complex human beings. You know, we do have the highs and the lows and the love and the despair, you know. And some people are like, I want to go on that roller coaster. And some people are like, I want to do the merry-go-round. I don't even want to connect in with my extent of my emotional nature. I just kind of like that song, I just want to stay in the shallows. I don't want to go in the deep end. And other people are like, oh my gosh, what would life be if I didn't do love and I didn't come with, when you do love, not everything's going to work out the way you want. And you are going to go in despair and you're going to be sad and you have to learn to love yourself and you have to be willing to detach from an old dream because you were on different pages at different times. And then you got to go back out there and get back in the saddle again to keep having hope and faith and belief in your dreams. And some people are just like, yeah, no, I've seen other people do that and I'm not doing that, or I did it once or twice or whatever. And now I just don't want to do it anymore. I have decided, made the free will choice. Emotionally, this is water sign energy. This is air sign energy of the mind. We're either aligned with our more emotionally intuitive, loving nature, or we can live more from our mind than our heart. And some people decided, I'm living more from my mind than my heart. I've put an end to connecting in with my more emotionally intuitive, loving nature to a deep degree. Can I present myself as being that type of person? Can I interact with people like I am really more balanced within myself than I really am? Libra energy is like an aspect of self that people can tap into, where it is more like their public politician persona. I will go out in the world and present myself as a more balanced person than I really am. I really am some very tipped out of balance. I am really more about defending myself, and I operate more from about myself and my ego and my defensive nature. And I'm not doing love because I could get hurt doing love. But I want to be in relationships with people. I want to look like I have manifested what other people have manifested in the world. I'm just going to wear my false mask. And though I could be very out of balance, I will present myself as this more stable, balanced, just, fair, equally loving, motivated by the world type of person. But that really isn't the truth of who they are. Some of them are like, I'm not doing love. I will get in a relationship. I will be in a relationship with you. I can get along with you, but I'm not really going to do love. I'm not going to invest in that. If this makes practical, logical sense, this is good for my ego and my image, that's where it's a little bit more about them and their ego. So long as someone will indulge them in their more emotionally shallow, maybe defensive to love nature, well, then they'll stay in a relationship with them for as long as they're willing to let them do that. But the fact is, some people try to present themselves as these just and fair people. They're hiding that they're really more about themselves, that they really operate more from their emotionally defensive ego nature, but they don't want people to know that, and that they really aren't using all their resources, because the magician, which is Virgo Gemini energy, is about believing you have all the resources. And they know that they either discredit, like I discredit my emotionally intuitive loving nature. I don't think I need that to get justice in the world. I kind of diminish the value of that. Well, then they can get in relationships with people, though, who maybe they think are suckers because they are loving, nurturing, giving people. Some of these people had taken a leap of faith with people in their life, didn't work out the way they wanted, and they decided, I'm not being a sucker anymore. I'm going to operate from my ego nature. I'm going to go find the suckers in the world to go get in a relationship with, because I also like to be in a relationship with people, though, who are loving and nurturing and encouraging and supportive. We all like to be around people like that. It's the energy, love is the highest vibrational of all, that we thrive and grow in. But they're not willing to be what they would refer to as a sucker anymore. But there are people out there like that in the world, high vibe loving people, that they could refer to as suckers. But they're not going to do that anymore. There's other people in the world who aren't just and fair or authentic or loving, could be superficial and shallow, could wear a false persona, try to emotionally manipulate people in a relationship. People in their Aquarius, Aries, Pisces, Virgo energy that have a dream and have hope and faith and belief and love. And they've seen how people like that manipulated people to get what they wanted, and they didn't have to be a loving, nurturing, supportive, authentic person. They could have also tried to get those people to work with them cooperatively in a relationship or family dynamic, and they wouldn't do it. So they decided, I'm done. Especially if those were people that people could have grown up with that you thought would be loving and just and fair and get out of their ego and their more bossy ways or manipulative ways. Some people decide, well, that's it. If those people weren't willing to be just and fair and loving with me, I learned my lesson. I'm not going to be a sucker anymore. I'm going to be one of the people who goes to try to get a loving person to be in a relationship with me. Then it looks like I have what other people have, because I'm in a relationship with someone like that. But I'm not really that type of person. I'm not going to get hurt. I'm not really authentically, emotionally investing myself in it. Though I might enjoy myself in the relationship in a lot of ways, could be married to people, could have children with people, could really enjoy the people they're in a relationship, but they don't let themselves really invest themselves in those people. I could get hurt doing that. And the most important person to me is myself and my ego. And that is not something I am willing to manifest. I will work with people who are like that, be in a relationship with those people, marry them, have children with them, but I will not be that type of person myself. So sometimes people get in these mismatched relationships and the loving person is inspired by love. They do believe in their dreams. They have worked through some of their issues where they could have decided to live life like this. And they said, I don't want to live my life like that. I also have grown up with people that I thought would be loving and just and fair and warm and encouraging and all that, and they weren't. I just see the truth of where they're at. That's who they are. Not everybody is like that. And high vibe people weren't willing to give up on their dreams. They were still inspired by their dreams. And then they can have a hard time understanding people like this exist in the world. They could get in workplaces, friendships, relationships, marry them. And then as time goes by, as they're putting in work and effort, thinking everybody's motivated and inspired by truth and love, and if people are in loving, encouraging environments, of course they would do this work within themselves to free themselves from those things that manipulate them. And as they go forward in the relationship, they're trying to inspire people in Leo and Aries energy, fire sign energy, motivated and inspired by love, to bring a dream into reality of a long-term, emotionally fulfilling, loving relationship. But as they're doing that, the other people can be seeming in their public politician persona of, I'm on board with you, everything's great, me too, me too. But kind of over time, we have all these cards here to traverse before we get to the emotionally fulfilling, long-term loving relationship. And as the one people are trying to do that, the other people kind of aren't putting in that same work and effort to bring that dream into reality. And that's when the high vibe people probably, start to wonder, why isn't this working out? Why aren't we in a more just and fair and balanced relationship? Why haven't we detached from some old ways of being? We could have all been more immature when we got in a relationship. We all could have been more caught up in things of the world. We all could have been, but relationships are supposed to grow and mature over time. Why isn't that happening? And it can happen in a lot of different ways in a relationship. But when it gets to be really detaching from living more from your mind than your heart, that could kind of be the last hurdle, and that could be a non-negotiable. And so, and feeling like, I kind of feel like you aren't more authentically yourself, not inspired to be more authentically yourself and loving and warm and giving. And it'd really be nice to be in a relationship with someone else who's loving and warm and giving, instead of having someone who's always just kind of following your lead. If you do something, they'll do something, but they're not inspired by it within themselves. Let's go see what the high vibe people do in a relationship. The Queen of Cups, the Eight of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles, which is I view as Virgo energy, the King of Cups, and the Three of Swords. High vibe people do this work within themselves to love themselves. They're inspired to move forward, to wrap their brain around this game of life, knowing they also have this dualistic nature, and they need to maintain balance within themselves. We can all be more inspired to be in our more immature, shadowy, prideful, egotistical nature, but we're also inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness. So they work together with both those aspects within themselves out of love for themselves. We want a dream to come into reality. I do have these things of the world. I kind of like some things more about myself, blah, blah, blah. But, also hope and faith and belief and love. And we need to kind of find a balance between the two of those to keep moving forward. And based on the lessons I've learned and the lessons I'm learning in this current situation, I want to keep moving forward, taking action in the world. So the feminine figures can represent about kind of what goes on within us emotionally. The high vibe people work through that, and they choose to invest in love. That is the best answer. Do I have my dualistic nature? Yes. I could indulge my more dualistic nature, and I kind of negotiate that within myself. Wait a minute. Let's keep taking action in truth and love. And then in the Three of Swords, which can be turn our back and invest in truth and love versus living more from our mind than our heart, being hurtful, being unkind. And they do this work within themselves to keep moving forward in hope and faith and belief, turning their back on their more, I want to be more about myself. This is causing me heart and mind conflict, and I think we should take action more out of ego. They turn their back on their more cynical nature of the Three of Swords, which is also Libra energy. And as they do that within themselves and continue to learn lessons within the relationship, some other people don't do that work within themselves. That's not what they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into. Virgo is earth sign energy. You have to invest time, energy, and effort to kind of look at those things about yourself that you might not want to deal with, might not want to acknowledge, that you try to keep hidden in the dark. But we all have our more immature nature. We all emotionally would kind of like to just stay in our comfort zone. But if we're going to work with other people in a relationship, it's not just about us. We're working together with other people. And then it's not just about us and our ego and our image and our lust and our greed and our pride and our ego and our way or the highway. But, and they might be more about themselves, but they might not want to acknowledge that. They might be more egotistical or self-centered or immature, but they wear a false mask, but they never, when they're around people who aren't more like them, doesn't it make you wonder, why am I not more like them? If they're more self-disciplined, more mature, more stable, more grounded, more hopeful, more believing, why am I? Generally we can look at other people, and if they seem to have traits and qualities and characteristics and ways of viewing the world that we admire, some people try to wrap their brain around that. It's like, wow, how does that person do that? I could get kind of caught up in these things or look at life this way or whatever. If we admire and respect it, why aren't we putting in work and effort to kind of wrap our brain around it? So to whatever degree we can kind of incorporate that way of viewing life or perceiving life or understanding life, so that if we find it beneficial for them and we think it would be beneficial for us in our long-term emotionally fulfilling life. I don't know. Some people just could really not love and believe in themselves. And instead of offering love and compassion and forgiveness to themselves and loving and believing in themselves, some people could have a philosophy of life like, well, I don't have to do that. That's not like my job. And the way they could view life is, I'm in this energy, but the way I was brought up or the way I decided how to do things was I just keep wearing this false mask, but I never deal with my issues. If I am a very harsh, critical person to myself, if I am self-sabotage myself, don't love and believe in myself, don't believe that other people really love me because I don't love me, and that other people are just in a relationship with me maybe for the same reasons they get in relationships with people, which could be more for ego and image and stability and security and companionship. To a degree, can we all kind of, are those a factor? I want stability, I want security, I want to be in relationships with people I'm attracted to, people who I think are kind of just and fair, kind of enjoy doing some of the same things as I do, that we get along. Well, yeah, those are all normal factors to take into consideration. But they're, between what seems logical and practical and stable and grounded, high vibe people also want authentic, loving relationships. It's a balance of both. And if some people have justice in the world, in the sense that they could have money, status, image, social clout, attractive, whatever it is, or it's all just in their own mind, but they could think, there's other people who will want to be in a relationship with me. And that is the answer to me having these things. But what they haven't learned yet is, yes, they will have loving, supportive, encouraging people who probably, if they present themselves as this just and fair person who's more balanced than they maybe are, in a lot of ways seems to be shining bright in the world, yeah, people are going to be attracted to them. The only problem as time goes by, they could come to realize that the person is a more emotionally shallow, that the person is more driven by ego and image and money, and it's not really love that drives them to be in the relationship. And the other people were a balance of both. And could we initially have been a little more tipped in to these things of the world because we're really motivated and inspired to have those things of the world that we want. And sometimes that kind of clouds our judgment. And if you're a loving person, you just assume people will do love eventually and be more motivated by love. And then as time goes by, that isn't happening. And then you wonder, why isn't that happening? And even the other people could agree, yes, I do think this is like a loving, encouraging, supportive environment. But I'm just not willing to connect in with my more authentic, loving nature. I don't cultivate that within me. I, somewhere along the line, felt that wasn't important. And I didn't invest much time, energy, effort into being more comfortable with my more authentic self, emotional nature, loving nature, listening to my intuition. And then sometimes those relationships end because, and then sometimes some people, they want to be in the relationship with loving, hopeful, believing people. But then, because they don't change, the people they get in a relationship with, they don't want them to change either. Let's do this forever. It's but that's kind of going against the flow of the universe. I do heal and grow and mature. Sometimes I open up my bag of fear and insecurities and I take them out and I look at them. Who put that in my head? How long have I carried that with me? And I offer love and compassion to it, wrap my brain around it so I can let it go and be free of it. And then I move forward in life differently. Well, then they don't like that because you're no longer the person you were when you got in the relationship. But at a core kind of foundational level, they still are. And they don't plan to change. So then that's when someone's shadowy nature can come out and kind of behind the back of some loving people, got a voodoo doll there, they're doing things to, being hurtful, being unkind, being unloving, being unjust, being unfair, all these things to hurt you so that instead of you continuing to move forward, having hope and faith and belief and love, it's like you come back and try to fix because emotionally you're invested in the relationship. And Scorpio is like the energy we tap into, I think, in a relationship that we're working on, for you to come back and try to love and encourage them to love and believe in themselves, to go on this journey with you again. So it's constantly, and that's what they like, because then you're focused on them, because that's what they're focused on. And they like it when you quit focusing on you to make your life about them. And you're not moving forward, manifesting anything new. You keep getting back focused on them, and that's what they like. And if it gets to be where they don't think they can stop you anymore, because you're like, I can offer you love and encouragement and also invest in myself and being more authentically myself and pursuing my dreams and still being in the energy of love, because I want you to move forward in the energy of love. And then if you're not willing to do that, that's when some people will be thinking they want to be in a relationship with someone else. Just like you could be thinking you want to be in a relationship with someone else. Because we like to be in relationships with people who are kind of on the same page as us. And if you have healed and grown and matured yourself and have looked at life from a higher perspective than you maybe did before, have learned to love yourself, where maybe before you were kind of more letting your mind and your fear and codependent nature and all those things run your life, you're not the same person you were. And they kind of want to be in a relationship with someone who is like who you were before. Because they're still the same person that was motivated and inspired by those things. And they're not wanting to do life differently. But sadly, the people who are more about their persona and their ego and their image, instead of just being truthful and honest, shadowy energy is trying to manipulate people to get them to do what they want and to get the outcome that they want, thinking maybe that they're so smart that they can manipulate it to make it work out in their favor. And if people were to view you as a just and fair and authentic and loving person, they might try to tell people behind your back, backstabbing you, that that's not the truth of who you are. And those people shouldn't view you that way, because then they say they were the one who wanted to be in a relationship with you, be supportive, encouraging, and loving, but you were the one who was whatever. Because the only thing they really have to offer people is their image and their status and their reputation or whatever, because they don't really aren't an authentic, loving, creative, inspired, authentic person in the world. They can't offer people those things because that's not what they align with within themselves. But they're hoping, because they have a certain status or image in the world, or have presented themselves a certain way, and other people in life might know them longer than they knew you, it's kind of to throw you under the bus and present themselves as maybe the wounded party, go back out there with their false mask on to get someone else to move forward in a relationship with them. And then those are people who are going to learn lessons from them, just like you learned lessons from them. And some of you did see the truth of all these things. And you saw that they were more about themselves and trying to manipulate people, that they really don't kind of align with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. That isn't what they invest in. They are more caught up in themselves or the world, a little more emotionally shallow and superficial, or worse. And you did the work within yourself to decide you weren't going to keep manifesting with them and investing in them. You listened to a higher truth and justice to get the justice you deserve, and you distanced yourself from those people to believe in yourself and believe in your dreams. And you're going on this new journey, and you're looking for other people and offering truth and love and inspiration to other people in your life. Who harnesses high vibe? Leo, Aquarius, Aries, Pisces, Virgo. Who is bold and brave enough to be authentically themselves, believe in their dreams, have hope and faith and belief and love? Those are the people I'm going to invest my time, energy, and effort into. And the people who tried to create the illusion that's who they were, but I found out that wasn't the truth of who they were. You know, those people are going to go try to manipulate someone else if they're not willing to learn the lessons they were meant to learn from that life experience. And they could be creating that illusion with someone new right now. And if that person, and some people wear very good false masks. You can be in a relationship with someone for a really long time, and because you have your own issues to deal with that would make you stay in it anyway, that they're going to learn their lessons. Everybody might be moving forward in new kind of long-term jobs, friendships, relationships, or marriages. It's just that the high vibe people's really is based on, they've learned that I have to listen to my intuition, not live more from my mind than my heart, not get in relationships more out of ego or because something else didn't work out. I need to do this work within myself to love and believe in myself, be happy within myself, so that when I do get in a relationship with someone, I can't be tempted more in living more from my mind than my heart or my ego and my lust and my greed. Because I don't want to repeat that pattern. I have lived it. I've learned the lessons I was meant to learn from it. I'm moving on. People who are like that and haven't learned that lesson yet, they're maybe going to get in those workplaces, friendships, and relationships. And the ones who definitely live their life trying to manipulate people and hide from the truth, they're definitely going to go try to find someone new to get in a relationship with. What's coming up for the people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy that they might not see coming up? The Fool. Why? Because of the Emperor. So both of these I view as Aries energy, and the Emperor is about, whether you're male or female, you are going to look like a boss in the world, is what the Emperor looks like, because you're making really good decisions in your life. Why are you making really good decisions in your life? Because along these life experiences in life, you learn lessons. The Emperor is like harnessing all four kings. I've lived life letting my heart run my life. I've lived life letting my more defensive nature run my life. My mind, my fear, my insecurity. I've lived life letting my more immature nature run my life. I've lived life letting my more things of the world kind of consume me. And I have learned that all four elements that we talk about in tarot, the heart, the mind, the creative, inspired, passionate nature, and our worldly nature, they're equally important. When I let 1, 2, or 3 aspects be more important in my life and kind of disregarded other aspects of myself, like they weren't as important, I didn't have to invest and cultivate those things, it didn't end up, I didn't get the justice I wanted, because other people probably could tell, oh, there's these certain aspects that you don't really invest in because you don't think you need to, because you think if you were to get in a relationship with someone, that aspect would kind of be covered or something, right? And then other people can take advantage of that to try to manipulate and control you. So it's like, I've learned that all four elements are important. My heart, my mind, my creative, my inspired, my worldly nature, my stability, my security, my loving nature. And when I make decisions in life, I need to take all four of them into consideration. And I no longer let 1, 2, or 3 of them kind of take over in my life. And so again, in tarot, we have the pages, we have the knights, we have the kings and queens. Then we have the emperor and empress. You're not a page. You're not a knight. You're not a king or a queen. You have learned all those kind of lessons in life. You are ready to go on this new journey based on the fact that not letting one, 2, or 3 aspects run your life. When you make decisions now, you're making very good decisions, taking all 4 aspects of yourself into consideration. Is this aligned with my truth? Is this loving? Is it what I love? Is it creative and inspired and appeal to my passionate, creative, inspired nature? Is it stable, grounded, growing, maturing, acting with character and integrity? If it's not, I don't want anything to do with it because I've already been there and done that. And some other people haven't learned that lesson yet. So, they're going to go repeat an old pattern. And I think as you're going on this new journey, making these good decisions in your life, being inspired to believe in yourself and believe in your dreams and love yourself and being balanced within yourself, no longer going to emotionally invest in immature people who invested in kind of wearing more of a false mask out of heartbreak. If other people aren't willing to go on this journey with me, being more authentic and inspired by love, then I will go on my journey enjoying my friends and family. But I'm not going to get in a relationship that's emotionally dead or isn't just and fair or is more about codependency or whatever. I'm not going to live that life. Someone else can go live that life with them. Or if they're intimidating or controlling or manipulative or prideful or egotistical, someone else can go be in a relationship with them. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy? We have the King of Pentacles and the 7 of Swords. Why? Because of the Tower. In our more worldly view of life, we can keep investing kind of in the more worldly dream or in deceiving ourselves about the truth. And we've all been there, where we don't really want to see the truth. And so we keep investing in something, thinking the dream will come into reality, and the divine will keep trying to show us in the Tower card the truth. But when we're ready to deal with the truth is when we'll deal with the truth. And so there's some people in the world who are all caught up either in being more about themselves or caught up in these things of the world, or these things that they want to go indulge in that they think is the answer to their problems, or money or materialism and status and image. And they keep investing in not wanting to detach from an old way of living life or viewing life, to look at life from a higher perspective, to be more inspired to maybe even make better decisions in their life. If people don't want to make better decisions in their life, don't want to have to take other people really into consideration, if they want to go do something, they want to go do it. If they think it's just and fair, I'll just go do what I think is just and fair, because I'm really more about myself anyway. And there's some people who don't. High vibe emperors, where you're making good decisions in yourself, but that if you are working together with other people to bring a dream into reality, when your decisions are going to affect those people, you take those people into consideration. And you try to inspire other people to love and believe in themselves to move forward with you in that way. You know, feeling proud that you acted with character and integrity, and that if those people are like, no, that's not what I want to do, it's like, okay, you know, all I can do is offer truth and love and encouragement and resources to people to get them to move forward in a more balanced, loving, whatever way. And if they choose not to do that, my conscience is clear. And there's some people that are like, no, I refuse to detach from this way of living life, viewing life. And if they keep doing that, there's going to be other people in their life that want to be in relationships with them to bring a dream into reality. And eventually the people in their life realize, I can't stay in denial of the truth anymore. If they were motivated and inspired to look at life any differently, or heal or grow or mature themselves, or not be bossy or controlling or defensive or self-indulgent or more materialistic, they would be. And I accept the truth. You have the right to live your life the way you want it. And the way you want to live your life is not the way I want to live my life. And so they're always going to have high vibe people who come into their workplace, friendship group, life, that eventually are going to leave, because in their Aquarius energy, their intuition is telling them these people are maybe more caught up in the worldly dream, and I'm motivated and inspired by a higher truth and justice than just making my life about these things of the world and how wonderful my life is. Look what I have. Look what I wear. Look how much money we have. Look at who we hang out with. It's like, I want to be in inspired, authentic, loving relationships. All that other stuff I don't even really care about. Do I want friends and family and people like that in my life? Yes, because they're authentically people whose company I enjoy, not because of status or ego or image. And eventually, if some people are not willing to keep repeating some old pattern, some of the people who might stay in a relationship with them are either people who don't want to see the truth, oh no, I'm sure they'll change, or people who are deceiving and manipulating them for their own purposes. You know, there can be immature, bossy, egotistical, afraid to change people in the world, whatever it is, codependent people. There's always other bigger fish in the sea. It's like, oh, you are someone I have been looking for. Yeah, you are just the kind of person I like to be in a relationship with. Because so long as it works for me, then I'm okay being in the relationship. And if, you know, it could be two people who aren't very emotionally loving or warm. Both people could really want to get out of the relationship. But if it has the status and the image that they value, then they might keep moving forward with a deception, something they don't even want to be in. But if they're unwilling to reveal the truth, speak the truth, get out of making these things of the world or their ego or their image so important, and willing to go live their authentic life, well, then they can stay in something like that. You know, this is like creating a little hell on earth. Other people are creating a little heaven on earth. And people have the free will, and we have the free will to decide who we're going to hang out with. Which people in our life are trying to use the love that we have for them to try to manipulate us into staying in friendships or relationships with them, or the fact that we love that job even though they could be an asshole, you know? Who are the people who are enlightened to the truth, and who are the people that we haven't wanted to see the truth of? And are we willing to see the truth about ourselves and illuminate the truth and go live our authentic life? And some people won't do that because they're not willing to reveal the truth. Either that I could have created the illusion that this was so wonderful, but it's really not as wonderful as I made it sound. Are they willing to reveal the truth of it? Are they willing to give up something that by worldly standards looks very just and fair and probably stable and abundant? Are they willing to say this is not aligned with my truth? If it was at one time, it's not now. When I got in it, maybe I could have gotten in it for the wrong reasons. Maybe the person I got into the relationship with got in the relationship with me for the wrong reasons. Maybe I thought we were both motivated and inspired by love, but we're not. You know, you have to be willing to get out of this more worldly judgment. You have your life to live. Treat people with love and respect. Offer people love, truth, and encouragement. And then go live your life in that way. And if they want to come with, they can come with. If they get in that energy. And if they don't, then I am not going to stay living a life of illusion for ego reasons. And there's some shadowy people that hope you will do that very thing. They hope to get loving, encouraging, believing people trapped in a relationship with them. That by the time you see the truth, because of your ego and your status and don't want people to judge you, don't want to have a failed relationship or marriage on your hands, afraid of being more independent and believing in yourself, you're the one who makes that relationship be as abundant as it is. They might, some people, be the ones who make it more abundant financially, but you're the one that brings the life to it if you're the loving, nurturing, supportive people. And some people are counting on trapping people in a relationship. That by the time you find out the truth, you won't be willing to, you'll have too much mental conflict about getting out of it. That is an injustice. That is the death to justice. And God doesn't expect you to stay in something that's an injustice. You have to adhere to a higher truth and justice. And be bold and brave enough to stand up for what you believe in. This is not just and fair. And I am not staying in it. And the shadowy people will go try to trap somebody else. Over here we have Capricorn and Aquarius energy. You know, trying to see who might have experienced an ending in a relationship or a marriage or a workplace, who has mental conflict about loving and believing in themselves, believing in their dreams, that might get caught up in the illusion of wanting to be in a relationship, get in a relationship with them, start putting in work and effort to make it work, and then that person's got them trapped. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.